Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Techbot Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. Today is July 6th, 5:57 p.m., and welcome to our Sunday Stock Talk. So a few things going on right now. Overnight hours just open. For those that do not know, Webull does offer overnight hours. So if you had a trader, if you wanted to buy or sell a stock for some securities, they do actually allow you, like if I wanted to buy QQQ right now, I would actually be able to, even though it's Sunday at 6 p.m. So if you ever want to look a little bit more into it, again, you guys can download Webull. It's I think the fifth or fourth link in the description down below. You can download it. It's free. You can have more than one trading application. And yes, if you're in the United States, it does allow you to have access to these overnight trading hours. So the really cool thing is that it gives us a better understanding of where the markets are currently at. For QQQ, it is currently down 0.37%, down to lows of 554. In my opinion, still incredibly overbought, and market is in deep need of a pullback because it simply has not earned this recovery. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the news over the weekend, but yes, the whole reason that the markets began to recover was originally the 90-day tariff pause that Trump said was a hard deadline. Again, that was supposed to end on July 8th. Now, and it was supposed to restart back on July 9th. With the tariffs going back into effect if these countries didn't come to negotiate. Bessent, which is the Treasury Secretary, is saying if no deal is reached by August 1st, trading partners will revert to April 2nd tariff levels. So now they're pushing it back a whole nother month when they originally said that the deadline was July 8th. And again, this is why the Trump administration has earned the title of taco, right? Talk about it and then cowered out. You can say whatever it is that you want. I mean, you guys have backed it up many, many times, but it has been made very, very clear that they set deadlines that they create out of thin air and they call them hard deadlines. They just always back down from it, right? So the only reason that the markets actually began to recover is supposedly trade deals were being signed and pauses were being put into effect. 90 days later, we're still exactly where we were, yet markets have made a full recovery. It's insane, right? To make matters even, I don't want to say worse, I actually really do like seeing Tesla sell off because we all know it didn't belong at $350 per share. But we made it very clear. I don't even think Tesla's selling off because of its fundamentals, although it was just proven that Tesla is not a car company that is growing anymore. And you can call it anything more than what it is, right? But it doesn't change the fact that even its core business model isn't growing year over year. Tesla stock is down an additional 6%, not because of its fundamentals, but because of Elon Musk starting, again, its beef, not just with Trump, but possibly just investors do not like the uncertainty. We've said this many, many times before that originally when we experienced that initial sell-off that lasted just a very short period of time before markets actually began to recover, Tesla hit lows of $273 per share and then made a sharp recovery when Elon and Trump kind of made up and kind of threw everything under the rug, right? They pretended like nothing ever happened and Tesla went back up to retest $360 per share. Tesla has now sold off once again because now he started a new political party. It's called the America Party. I will fight for to my last drop of blood to ensure that America remains the land of freedom and opportunity, Elon Musk. And supposedly this has actually been officially filed. So as of right now, it doesn't seem like this is going to be something that that Elon falls back on, at least not anytime soon, right? The previous time that he started beef, it was just they were calling each other names online, making like empty threats. Now this seems a little bit more of like a long-lived, I don't want to call it a problem, but it definitely is going to be a problem for Tesla investors. Like we have to call it for what it is, right? This is what, in my opinion, is going to cause more uncertainty. Tesla is not in a fundamental place to be making moves like this. They just want Elon Musk back and they want Elon to get back to work. In my opinion, this is going to distract Elon from what he should be doing as Tesla's CEO. And then Trump took to Truth Social, which is like his form of X.com. I am saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He even wants to start a third political party, despite the fact that they have never succeeded in the United States. So then, again, he goes into his current issues with Elon Musk. And we all know that, again, Elon Musk is a very powerful and a very influential individual. If there's anyone that could possibly do this, I would say that Elon would be the guy, right? But there is no, and again, I'm not against Elon for wanting to do this. I'm sure a lot of us could agree that maybe just with like the politics and experiences that we've had with, with Democrats and with Republicans, they always campaign on one thing and they always do another, right? Yes, in a perfect world, a third party does sound like it could be an easy medium, but it's impossible to ignore the issues that this would bring for Tesla. Tesla is going to be my main focus for this week. So my top stock, not that I plan to just short it, but I want to pay attention to the sentiment of Tesla and of Elon, because I believe that this is what's moving the stock. Tesla is no longer selling off or recovering because of how Tesla company is performing. It's all based off of the sentiment of Elon Musk. If he continues to present uncertainty and lack of focus with Tesla and more of a spotlight of being against Trump, who is the current president of the United States, regardless if I agree or disagree with his position, I think that it's going to bring a lot of uncertainty for Tesla investors. So therefore, a lot of volatility, quick sell-offs, quick recoveries. And in my opinion, this could make for a very lucrative trade opportunity, right? To go both long and short, depending on what the sentiment is for that given day, right? But I just wanted to make sure that you were aware. I do not believe Tesla is selling off because of its fundamentals. If Tesla was truly priced at fundamentals, it would be trading at $150 per share, not $315. We all know that Tesla is not a growing car company anymore. We know that if Tesla loses its subsidies, it could be further in the red, right? It still gains its competitive edge, but it just simply isn't a car company no longer that is growing. We still don't have the Optimus robot. We're still in the very beginning stages of the full autonomy. And again, it's okay to acknowledge the uncertainty of a company regardless of how hyped up it is, right? But Tesla is definitely going to be in the forefront of the stock that I pay the most attention to this week. No question about it. So now that we talked about these three things, right? We talked about the pushed back deadline from July 9th is now supposedly August 1st. But who knows? Who's to say that? I mean, who's going to hold them accountable? Who's to say that they can't just kick the can down the road even further? Just last month, the deadline was July 9th. Now it's August 1st. Who says it can't be September? This is the issue that I have with the Trump administration, is the lack of accountability and the lack of saying something and following through, right? The lack of consistency. So we'll see how things continue to develop. So right now, it looks like NASDAQ is also reacting in a slightly negative way, but we all know how irrational NASDAQ has been the past few weeks. It pushes up for any and every reason. Trump can send out a tweet of, hey, get ready, new all-time highs coming, new deals signed. Regardless if it's true or not, people will just pump the market even further. Again, there's nothing wrong with trading the markets at these overbought levels, in my opinion, right? But buying at these levels when fundamentally we just are not there, just be very, very careful with your position size up here. That's all I have to say. So let's go ahead and start breaking down your guys' favorite stock. So if you want me to break down your top stock, all you literally need to do is in the live chat, just make sure you type in the ticker symbol and what you plan to do with that stock. Do you plan to go long? Do you plan to go short? Are you just watching it? What's your intention? So you do have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel to partake in the live chat. So just make sure you're subscribed and don't forget to drop a thumbs up. Here we go. So Meta short. What's going on, Claudio? Is that how you say it? All right. So Meta is the first one. Yeah. I mean, my only concern with this is in a perfect world, I would say that, yeah, like why not short this, right? It's incredibly overbought. There's huge retracement potential. My biggest issue with this is markets are super irrational. I would not jump into, and you guys know that I'm eager. I mean, I'll short the market on the daily, right? As in like intraday, I'll get in and get out, make my money and bounce. But to hold a position overnight when markets are this irrational and this bullish, very, very simple. Trend is not in your favor. This thing is incredibly bullish. It's above the moving average. It's still an ascending uptrend pattern. There is no break of pattern. You can try to hope for a break of pattern, but then you have to be okay with the risk that the trade can go against you. So in my perfect world, what I would like to see is you can look at the 1 hour, you can look at the 4 hour, but try to look for a break of pattern, for it to do something that it didn't do before. Like last time when it was indicating signs of an uptrend, it kept finding support at that moving average. And then finally, with its lower highs and lower lows, it began to consistently downtrend. So instead of being early, right, where could you have gotten in many times when it made new highs? You can never predict the top, just like you can never predict the bottom, but you can always wait for confirmation. So more conviction and direction is in your favor, right? Keeping it simple. There's nothing wrong with shorting it intraday if market sentiment is in your favor. But to hold a position and to be aggressive, it's kind of like understand the ground that you are walking on. Right now, at least for the past few weeks, the bulls, right, the people going long, are the ones that have the ground to be aggressive, to be greedy, because markets are bullish. That has been the sentiment. So they will win more often when that's the sentiment. But then market sentiment can change. And if we go bearish, then that when that sentiment changes, we can choose to be more greedy if we want to, right? We just need to understand when that sentiment is changing. But you guys, if you've traded in this market or have invested in the market long enough, you should know what it is that I'm talking about. There's moments where the market literally can't catch a break, right? It's just selling off even after good news comes out, it just continues to sell off. That's what I'm talking about. It's kind of like what we're experiencing right now with markets going up. Even when bad news comes out, markets still push up higher, because sentiment is so strong. Remember, there's a very famous saying is markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, meaning that however much you think that you can tolerate, why put yourself through that stress of trading against the market, even though you might think you're right? Markets can just simply be irrational for longer than you can still, keep that short position and try to stay sane. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Ricky, what are your thoughts on shorting Hood? They released news about SpaceX and OpenAI, but it turned out to be false. Also hit on $100 to be a great short opportunity. So I think your username is named Hood. So I'm pretty biased on this. A lot of you guys know, especially for part of my LPP team. They're the team that get to watch me trade live every day. I've been actively shorting Hood because I personally do believe it's overbought. But again, I only like to short it intraday, meaning that I get in and get out intraday. The reason why is just like I spoke about Meta, it's so bullish. So I do want to correct you where I think that, I'm all about talking about the wrongs or the cons of companies, right? Robinhood wasn't found to be promoting OpenAI and SpaceX. Like that news wasn't false. They're still selling tokens, I think in like the EU, because that would never work, at least not right now with current regulations in the US to my understanding. But it's not that what they are doing is wrong, it's that it was misunderstood. So supposedly these tokens were supposed to give you like synthetic ownership of private companies, and their two launch companies were SpaceX and OpenAI. And then both of those companies said that, hey, we didn't, agree to this. Any transfer of ownership needs to be ran through us. Like we are not partnered in this. So I think it just solidifies that your ownership is truly synthetic, meaning that it truly is fake. I don't support it, but I've seen crazier things work, meaning that if idiots online were buying NFTs for hundreds of thousands of dollars, then why can't they buy synthetic ownership of private companies? Do you get what I mean? This is my problem with crypto. It's that it's so far out of reality and value is literally created out of thin air for a short period of time that if there's enough hype and enough attention, they can sell you anything, right? It's all made up. It's all synthetic. But at the end of the day, no, you do not own Robinhood, and you do not, you do not own any private ownership of OpenAI or of SpaceX. So that has been always my biggest issue with companies like this. But again, they're doing their part by not calling them stocks, right? They're not ETFs, they're tokens. They're made up, right? They're synthetic ownership. And this is, again, my biggest issue with crypto. It's a bunch of baloney over and over again, right? So although I'm all for calling it fake for what it is, that's why they called it token. So it wasn't that it was false ownership, it's that it's synthetic ownership according to their terms and conditions. So it's not that it's fake, it's that they literally just called it synthetic ownership of private companies. So I'm not a fan of it, but I also know that a ton of people, just like I made fun of it right now, a ton of people did make money trading NFTs. They bought it low and sold it high. I think that if you're willing to take the risk and you acknowledge that it's a short-lived hype train, be my guest. Who says that you can't trade tokens, right, and sell them for more? I'm not here to hold you back from that. I'm never going to be here to pretend like you can't make money doing other things. That would be very, naive of me. I'm just here to make you aware of the risk. Synthetic ownership means that it's fake ownership. It's fake ownership of these private companies. So I hope that can be what drives the price down for Robinhood. But Robinhood just has so much momentum right now, and there is no break of pattern. So just like you said, just a few weeks ago, Robinhood was trading at lows of like $26, $29, right? Just a few weeks ago. Now it hit highs of 100. But who's to say that it can't go to 150? I know it sounds crazy, but it's not that crazy, right? So that would be the reason why day by day, I'm okay with closing out the short, right? But if we do begin to see a break of pattern, a lack of progress on Robinhood, I would love to short the life out of it. I really would. But I need sentiment and direction to be in my favor. So again, I just wanted to be very clear and very straight up with you where I want Robinhood to fall apart, but I also don't want to do it in a very blind way and in a hopeful way that would, often lead to more loss. So let's be calculated and intentional with what we do. You don't have to buy Robinhood up here, right? But also it doesn't mean that you have to short it just because you don't like it. I don't agree with the value, so that just means that I add it to my watch list, I create my plan, and I set my alerts so when my criteria is met of, hey, Robinhood is finally trading below the EMA, or it's actively selling off, there's a break of pattern, whatever your criteria is, then you've earned, in my opinion, the right to short Robinhood, because now it's doing something that it wasn't before versus, hey, I'm going to short here and fingers crossed. Do you get what I mean? I hope that makes sense. I hope my breakdown kind of hopefully gives a little bit more depth to how I would approach shorting Hood. But again, please do not forget to create your own trade plan that aligns with your own risk tolerance, okay? Tesla will drop Monday. Mark, Tesla is dropping right now, brother. Tesla's down 6% during overnight hours. Look at that. It's currently trading at $296 per share. Again, if you guys have not downloaded Webull, they give you access to overnight trading sessions. I don't understand why people make it so complicated. You can have 5 different trading platforms. So if you have the one that you currently are using, but you want to test new ones, again, I think it's the 5th or the 4th link in the description down below, will allow you to actually download Webull, and you'll earn free shares just by signing up and having an initial deposit of $100. So you're able to trade on Webull commission free, and you're also able to access overnight trading hours within the US. Okay. All right. Thanks, Ricky. See you tomorrow. I'll see you for the live trading session. Yeah, whenever it is that you guys are ready to tune into that live session, I'm pumped. I'm excited for tomorrow. So again, that's that second link in the description down below if you guys want access to our LPP live trading session. I think the discount link right now makes it $1 a day if you want to start watching me trade live. Let's do Amazon. Sure. Again, I'm here for how many more stocks? We're going to do 2 more stocks that we're going to break down. 2 more stocks, and you guys get to choose them. Just share it in the live chat, okay? So currently Amazon is down 70.73%. And again, Like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but a lot of these bigger blue chip companies are going to have a very similar analysis from me. They're super bullish, they're super irrational, and I don't think it's a smart idea to short them when the trend is against you. My style, I want to look out for beginners. Just because I personally am okay with shorting it, I'm okay with also managing my risk intraday. Beginners don't always understand that. It's the best way that I can put it is the analogy that I always give our beginners that are part of LPP is imagine yourself, you're learning how to swim. Do you want to swim with the current of the ocean or against it, right? If I'm half a mile off of shore and the current is going against me, I could possibly make it back to shore, right? Maybe if you're a strong swimmer, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. I can make it back, but it's just going to be much more challenging. Versus if I'm trying to make it back to shore and I'm swimming with the current, it's just going to be smoother. It's still not going to be super easy, right? That still comes with its challenges, but I'm going with the current, with the trend, right? It's going to be easier as I'm going with the flow of the ocean. That's the same analogy that I want to give with this, is that when the current or the trend is against you, it simply makes the market more challenging. It simply makes your trade more challenging. If you're looking for a swing trade to short, but market's bullish based off of recent patterns, overall, it's going to simply be more challenging. Now, if sentiment begins to change, I would love that. If Amazon begins selling off, if we break below the moving average on the 4-hour time frame, if overall markets begin to fall, trade war comes back into effect, tensions begin to rise. At that point, it's not just our opinion, it's that sentiment and markets are downturning. With those conditions, to short, we are more likely to thrive. Just not right now. I say this in a very encouraging way. Just because markets are overbought does not mean that you should short, especially if you're a beginner. And again, just because I short doesn't mean that you need to. Two very different things. I'm not going to be like other YouTubers that are like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You need to do it as well, right? I'm not a beginner, right? And I also trade with a dollar amount and I manage my position size in a way that, especially my LPP team, they've seen it happen many times where I might go in with a light position. It could go against me, but then when direction becomes favorable, I'll size into it because I know how to manage my position size and I'll get out in the green. It's just something that takes time to get used to and it's not meant for beginners. And that's okay to acknowledge, right? So please just look out for yourself. Don't be hopeful. Don't be optimistic. This is not the time to do so when markets are still incredibly bullish. I would love to see, I have my long-term plays, right? I haven't sold any of them. Not for myself, not for my daughter. We bought when markets downturned during the trade war. We bought some Apple, we bought some Nvidia, we bought some QQQ. I haven't sold those. I'm all about going long when deals are present. Why would I ever want to buy a company that's overbought during a possible downturn in the months that follow, right? It's just, I'm a deal hunter. I think that's the best way to put it as a long-term investor. I do not ever want to overpay. If you want to overpay or you think that this is priced well, be my guest. Put your money where your mouth is, right? All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. DDOG, what is that? All right, I don't know what this is. Datadog, this seems like is this like a trendy stock? I don't normally, yeah. Looks like he has it strong upswings, strong downswings, strong upswings. I'm not going to be your guy when it comes down to moves like this. I could see that something with its volume, something happened on Friday or Thursday into Friday. I would have to look into that fundamentally on what caused it to push up, but very simple. So I think that you're calling it a short because in no way would this be a good deal, right? My issue with this is that just like we've seen it in the past before with this company, me not knowing anything about this company, I could see that last time it pumped, it takes a while for it to really break its pattern, right? It pumped, it sold off a little bit, found support, an ascending support, and the rally continued. This is the issue. When trend and direction are in your favor, it could stay bullish and it could stay overbought. But when you finally get that inflection point, right, that break of pattern, we break below EMA, we begin to downturn, lower highs, lower lows. this is where it makes sense to short. So my challenge to you would be, hey, if you want to short this, earn it. Earn it by not just hoping that it sells off, but for waiting for your criteria to be met. And you have to write out what your criteria is, right? If you're a beginner, like this should be exciting. It shouldn't just be take impulsive trades. Like you want to be calculated and intentional and have a reason, have an edge on why you're taking something, right? Short or long. So this is exciting. This seems like a lucrative play. It was a catalyst-based event, it looks like. Now we wait for your criteria to be met to earn the right to short it. I think that could be amazing, right? This was added to the S&P 500 last week. Well, that's pretty big news and maybe not something that you want to trade against based off of current trends, right? No, based off of what we saw before, it rallied, it held up there for some time. Now, if it got added to the S&P 500, maybe it can hold up even longer. So again, just because something is overbought does not mean that it makes sense to short, right? Two very different things. Overbought doesn't mean that it's due for a pullback or in need of a pullback right now. It can pull back later down the road, but it doesn't mean that it has to happen on your timeline, on your schedule. And that's the problem, okay? Sweet. Yeah, it seems like a handful of you guys were familiar with the stock. Happy to hear. Yeah, it's not something that I've traded before. Webull isn't margin, right? It can be, you get to choose. You can have a cash account, you can have a margin account. They offer both. As you guys know, I short, right? And when you short, you have to have a margin account. So you just have to have, I think the threshold is $2,000. It's $2,000 to $2,500 if you want to have a margin account with the ability to short shares. I don't trade options. A lot of people get confused by that. They're like, how do you short with shares? I thought you just buy put options. I don't trade options ever. I've never traded options in my life. I've never even done one option. I short with shares. I would rather have the stock not, the ownership of the stock not expire, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. SMR. This is for a short, right? Yeah. Overbought. It looks like it's testing a possible support. So we'll see if it actually breaks below the moving average. But yeah, I can see why there could be a potential downturn, but I could also see why it could find support here and try to come back to retest. So again, it's what would you need this to do to earn the right to short it? In my opinion, I would look for a break of support. So it's tested this range before, and then it came back up to retest previous resistance, right? And then now it's testing it again. This is an old resistance level acting as a new support level. I want to see it weak, right? I want to almost feel like I'm missing out by not shorting it. And I would need this thing to break support, break below the moving average, and actively begin to sell off. I don't want this to be somewhat bullish, which it still kind of is, right? It's trading above the moving average on the 4-hour. I want this thing to look weak. I want it to look desperate, and I want it to look like it's falling apart, right? Falling off the cliff and getting ready to fall right back down to $11 per share. I know that's me being dramatic, but I just want you to understand what I mean is, especially if you're trying to hold this short overnight, which I don't really do with any of my shorts, then that is really when you want to be very calculated and very intentional with your position size and what it is that you're shorting, making sure that your criteria is met. A lot of you guys, are dedicating a lot of time to your trades, but guess what? You continue to make the same mistake over and over again. I have these conversations all the time with our LPP traders, but there's a few people that are actually taking it seriously. It's not that they're figuring it all out. It's not that they have it all figured out. It's that, hey, if last week maybe you entered a trade with too much size, this week you focus on position size management. And maybe if you enter a trade too early, this week you focus on waiting for confirmation. It's simple steps, and building healthy habits over a long period of time could end and lead to big results, big different results than what you're experiencing now. It is all not figured out just in one day, and you're going to make mistakes along the way, but be intentional and be calculated. So at least you're not surprised by these mistakes, right? So I appreciate you guys' time. I hope to see you for our live trading session tomorrow. Just like I said, the second link in the description down below will allow you to join LPP for $1 a day. And remember, LPP gives you access to my daily live trading session and also gets you access to the A to Z video lesson library that's designed for complete beginners. So if you know nothing about the market, let me make this clear. You don't need to sign up for LPP. Everything it is that I cover, can be learned through your own experience, or if you know what you're looking for, you can find it online, right? But if you're someone that learns best by structure and by watching other people do, that's the whole point of LPB. It's to expedite your learning experience, right? As a complete beginner. So if you want to learn for as little as $1 a day, that's what it breaks down to. It's the second link in the description down below. And whenever it is that you're ready, we'll see you at Market Open for our live session. I appreciate your time. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green